Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, damn it. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Mr. Hicks Podcast. We're here getting it in once again, time and time again, smacking on our own microphone because we like to be demonstrative with our hands. Good to see everybody this evening. So after a very long week and a long, what we call UTA, training with my reserve unit over in New Jersey, Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakers, just really shout out to all my people at the 514th Aircraft Maintenance Squadron, and especially to all my troops, the AFN troops, the Guidance and Control, GAC Mafia. You know what it is. Really proud of my guys and my girls who are part of the team. We had a lot of great training this weekend, and thank you all for your service. For those of you who don't know, 20-year Air Force veteran, really proud of what we do out here. And I want to thank everybody for all their encouragement. A lot of people have talked about me. As much as I talk on this show, I talk about 5 times as much at work. So everybody has been really encouraging of me to start this show and to start the new show that's going to be coming up. The Unloser is going to be my new channel. That's going to be coming up this week. So thank you everyone for all your encouragement and all your support and everything I'm doing. So getting back to the show. So we're doing a little NFL today and a show that I like to call First or Fourth and Not in Between. The reason I'm talking about that, I'm talking about drafting quarterbacks. Now, drafting first-round quarterbacks, yes, people reach for quarterbacks all the time. They take a quarterback that really, in most cases, really shouldn't have been taken in the first round. But I understand why you do it. If you think the quarterback is going to be that valuable, you don't want him to slip to the second round, totally get it. But if you look at the last few years, you're not going to find anything real exciting about the second round. I think teams are starting to get it, but I still think there are some problems because people keep doing it. So 2021, second round, the quarterbacks you got, second round you got Kyle Trask and Kellen Mond. Third round, Davis Mills, and fourth round, Ian Book. Stop me when you get to somebody exciting. I mean, like, honestly, if you don't know college football, most of you don't even know these names. And even if you do know college football, you probably thought they weren't going to be NFL quarterbacks. Career backups is probably what they're going to end up being. So in 2020, you have Jalen Hurts, well-known college quarterback, won national championship. I don't think he won the national championship as a starter, but he was on the team when they won. Jacob Eason was a starter for the Georgia Bulldogs, and for the Colts. Yeah, by the way, he was a 5-star all-everything quarterback coming out of high school, out of the state of Washington, goes all the way to Georgia, gets beat out by Jake Fromm, who is a starter and goes to a national championship game with Georgia, does not win it. He gets drafted in the 5th round. And something called Jake Luton was drafted by the Jaguars in the 6th round from Oregon State. Moving right along, let me know when you get something that excites you. And the third round, second round, you got Drew Lock, 2019, Will Greer, Ryan Finley, Jared Stidham, something called Easton Stick. I cannot make this up. I am not that smart. I am not that creative to come up with the name of somebody named Easton Stick from North Carolina. Not North Carolina State, North Dakota State. If I told you that, if I told you your team drafted a quarterback named Easton Stick from North Dakota State, you would want to do bad things to the general manager of your football team. You'd be like, there was no point to doing that at all. You could have I'll play quarterback. You ain't even got to pay me a whole lot. Just give me a helmet and some shoulder pads, and I will be just as effective as Mr. Easton Stick. And honestly, Gardner Minshew was a 6th-round pick. He's probably a better quarterback than everybody else on this list. And then in 2018, you got Mason Rudolph, Kyle Lauletta, Mike White, Luke Falk, Tanner Lee, lot of casuals and people. Now, mind you, all of these people can play quarterback better than me. However, I am not attempting to play quarterback in the NFL. So when people say stuff like that, like, oh, they're better quarterbacks than you, like, yeah, they are, but I am not trying to be a quarterback. I am pretty good at what I do. They are pretty bad comparatively at what they do. So they might be a better quarterback than somebody that's walking around the street. Doesn't mean they're a good quarterback. So, that's how I feel about that. See, the problem with this is I believe it's a copycat league. So when you get a guy that, like Russell Wilson, let's say, without Russell Wilson, there will be no Kyler Murray, because there was like, oh, quarterbacks have to be big, strong, strapping, 6'2", 6'3" to 6'5", and the arms have to be this long and whatever. And then you get a guy like Russell Wilson, who is just dynamic of a runner to get you out of trouble, makes good decisions, really accurate to football, good enough arm, and he's a good leader, and he kind of breaks the mold. So when that happens, somebody goes, well, we'll take Kyler Murray. And even Kyler Murray is about as tall as a garden gnome. He's still, to me, when the guys are like, he's not tall enough. A lot of these linemen are like 6'5" to 6'8". If you can't see over the line, you can't see over the line. So whether you can't see over the line at 6'3" or can't see over the line at 5'10", I don't see the difference. You still can't see over the line. And mind you, that's a layman's opinion. That probably a quarterback who's 6'1" would tell me there's a very big difference. But from a layman's perspective, if you're effective, you're effective. What difference does it make? So, a good example, the type of copycat league we got going. Josh Allen really pans out. Josh Allen is from a Big Sky team from University of Wyoming. Okay, he's from California, but University of Wyoming. So, because a small Midwest or Big North or whatever team produces an NFL quarterback, so they take a chance on Jordan Love from Utah State, Mountain West, and then Trey Lance from North Dakota State. Same place as Carson Wentz. We all know how great that worked out. So there's that copycat. Somebody will reach out and do something a little bit against the grain, and it'll, quote unquote, just because something is against the grain or worked out individually for that one shot, it does not mean that it breaks the mold. The mold is still this big, this tall, this fast, okay? If once in a while you get outliers to that, but the chances of you getting somebody that's as good at Russell Wilson just because they're about the same size is really not that good. So, but my favorite misnomer, my favorite thing that people screw up when they're drafting quarterback is winning quarterback from Big State U. The guy that won lots of college football games and threw for lots of yards and won championships and rah. Let me ask you a question. I don't know the answer to this. I haven't looked it up, but I was thinking pretty hard about it. And off the top of my head, I can't think of a single quarterback that won a national championship in college and also won a Super Bowl. If anybody out there can name that to me and send that to me, text me, put it down in the comments, I'd appreciate it. But that's kind of the point that I'm trying to make here. There seems to be a real disconnect between what makes a successful college quarterback and what makes a successful professional quarterback. Now, as far as a championship level goes, because Tom Brady never won a championship in college. Aaron Rodgers never won a championship in college. Josh Allen never won a championship in college. Lamar Jackson never won a championship in college. All these quarterbacks that you think, wow, these guys won a lot of games in college, don't win anything in the pros. And the guys that are winning in the pros didn't win anything in college. There's a disconnect there. So if you're still believing that because they won a lot of games in college, they're going to win a lot of games in the pros, I question your ability to make decisions. So under this category of winner, leader guys, these guys tend to, intangible guys, there you go, he's a winner. So the winner guys tend to be undersized, underarmed, they don't, but he's a leader and a winner. Those are really, they're not subtle, what's the word, subjective. Like subjective things, I don't know. I'm not really into intangibles when you don't have tangibles. So that under that falls in the guys like Tua, Baker Mayfield, Jake Fromm, Jalen Hurts, guys that were very successful in winning college football games and aren't really panning out in the NFL so far. These guys don't have pro attributes, and everybody kind of knows it, but they have all these intangibles. But like, you know what? So like, these guys they're going to get a chance. People love them. They're good leaders. They're good locker room guys, and they tend to get a chance. I'm not really like that. Give me a big, strong guy that can throw a football through a brick wall that's crazy accurate. You don't have to be the leader if you're a quarterback. It works out really well in high school. It works out really well in college. I don't care about it in the pros. It's nice if your quarterback is a leader. Can't say that I really care. Here's the problem. These guys are just good enough to get you to the playoffs, but not get you very far. Kirk Cousins is a good guy. He's a solid quarterback. And there's no excitement about having Kirk Cousins on your team at all. Can you imagine Kirk Cousins giving like a pep talk and really trying to fire the guys up in the like, all right, guys, we're gonna win the one for the giveaway. Let's all get excited and go to Rob. There's something about Kirk Cousins that just makes me think like middle school assistant principal. Like I cannot get excited about this, and I don't think anybody else can either. I'm sure he's a very nice man. I really am, but I'm just going to go ahead and clown you, bro. We have this thing when I my fantasy football team, all my friends, we call it the Kirk Cousins line. Like basically, it's like if your quarterback is worse than Kirk Cousins, you need to draft the quarterback. It's the Kirk Cousins line. It's like after Kirk Cousins, you're in some sketchy territory. So these guys tend not to be really super talented, but the problem with having a guy that's got all the intangibles and is just good enough, you have to surround that guy with talent. And you can see that's what happened with some of these guys. What's happening with Tua? So it's like what did they do? They drafted Jalen Waddle. They brought in Hill, Tyreek Hill, and they're like, okay, great, we got you weapons. Now, can you win now? Can you win now? It's like, did you ever have to get Tom Brady weapons? No, you could send Tom Brady out there with some stick fingers and a couple of lollipops and 3 dogs, and they was going to come back and they were going to get you to the AFC Championship. That, by the way, those popsicle sticks couldn't run to save their lives. But Tom Brady was going to get it done with whoever was left out there at wide receiver. Holds people accountable. Like him and Gronk were going to get it done. It didn't matter who else the heck was out there. It just didn't matter. Then you got a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers makes wide receivers. You don't need to give him great receivers. When they got Devontae Adams, that's great, but I'm telling you, they're going to play next year, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be good. They're going to be good because Aaron Rodgers makes people good. You don't have to surround Aaron Rodgers with a lot of talent. Aaron Rodgers is the talent. When you got a guy, you don't have to worry about that. And the other thing, like when these second, third round dudes, everybody loves them because they've got all the other stuff. So they're good leaders, they're good locker room guys, they're fan favorites, and they're just good enough. So it's hard to move off them. It's hard when you can see, like, this free agency's coming up. We can't really get anything for him in a trade. He's got value, but how much value? Let's just give him another year. We'll give him a 2-year extension. But meanwhile, you're passing up on free agents. You're transferring up on draft picks because you got a B- quarterback, and your B- isn't going to get you anywhere. It's a salary cap league. You can't do it. So I was at the analogy we made with the second round picks and the third round picks at quarterback. It's like anybody who plays poker can tell you that there's hands that win you there's cards that win you hands and cards that win you money. So if I have a pair of jacks, okay, it's not a bad hand. The problem with the pair of jacks is it can beat with anybody that's got queens or kings or aces. So a good hand gets beat by a better hand. And if anybody's staying in the hand with you, one of those people has got an ace or a king or a queen. And all they have to do is pair it and they beat your 2 jacks. And the chances are somebody's got one of them and is going to have a chance to beat you. And that's what happens when you have a good quarterback. You have a good hand that's hard to get away from. Your hand is good, not great, and you end up getting beat by great every single time. So what's my point? My point is this. Don't draft quarterbacks in the second round. Don't draft them in the third round either. So if they were a good enough quarterback, they wouldn't be there in the second round for you to take. Somebody else would have taken them. It does not happen, this thing you're talking about, where like a quarterback fell to us in the second round. How often is that actually happening? If there was a lot of quarterbacks being found in the second round, people wouldn't bother taking them in the first round. Like, no, everybody, it's a premium on the position. Everybody that can play gets taken in the first round. Everybody that gets taken in the second round's got issues. All right? So second round picks tend to net you. And when you take a second round quarterback, the biggest problem with it is like you could have taken another very good player at another position when you take a second round quarterback. He's not an awesome quarterback because you would have taken him in the first round if he was. But he's a second round guy. That means he's a risk. He is marginal. Not marginal like bad, but he's a risk. So I could get a really good receiver or really good running back or really good linebacker in the second round. But now I'm going to take a quarterback that you're not really sure about that's going to have to sit behind a starter or a veteran for a few years. Meanwhile, you could have filled out your roster and helped yourself at another position instead of taking that quarterback who you're not really sure is going to work out. I don't draft for intangibles. I don't care about intangibles once you get to the pros. There's a lot of veterans out there. There's a lot of leaders out there. You can't anticipate who's going to be a great leader in the pros and a great leader of men by who was a great leader in college. I know that sounds like you think of leadership as leadership, but leading grown men and leading college guys is a whole different animal. It really is. So just because Tim Tebow was very tolerant and everybody loved him, the guys, Jalen Hurts is like that. Everybody loves him. Doesn't mean he can play football. And at this level, and it's too much of a risk. Here's another one that I have for you. How much better is that second round pick from a fourth round pick? Don't fall in love with guys. Fall in love with the position. If you need a quarterback, fine, get a quarterback. But what I'm saying is, like, if you got a guy who's a B minus or like a B plus, how much better is a B plus than a B minus? If you can get a B minus quarterback in the fourth round, I would say you get better value by waiting and getting a guy in the fourth round. That's not much worse than taking a guy in the second round when I could get somebody that might be an elite guard or a great defensive tackle or a great outside linebacker prospect in round 2, when I could do that and then take a shot on somebody in round 4. I feel much better about round 4 because here's the thing, just like poker, if the guy doesn't work out and he was only a fourth round pick, I can walk away from him. It's not that bad. It doesn't hurt my feelings that much for a fourth round pick to be a wash. It kind of hurts my feelings if the guy I drafted in the second round is a bust, because that means there's a lot of other very good football players I could have had on my team. So, and the other thing is, like, if you take a quarterback in the second round, you're probably still not going to be very good because you were bad enough that you needed to take a quarterback in the second round. So you take the quarterback in the second round, and you're still pretty bad the next year. So now you're drafting in the top 10 again, and a really good quarterback drops to you. Do you take him? Because you just took a quarterback last year. Because that means that basically you made a mistake last year by taking the guy you had. You wasted a first-round pick last year. Now, I understand that the Cardinals did it with Josh Rosen and Kyler Murray not too long ago, but it's honestly the first one that I've ever seen where somebody took a quarterback early in one draft and the very next year took another quarterback high in the very next draft. That's actually really rare. And by the way, shout out to Josh Rosen, who managed to be so much of a jerk that he's been on 3 different teams and now he's going to a third or a fourth with the Browns. At least the Browns are giving him a shot before, the serial spanker that is the Deshaun Watson story. So good for you, Deshaun Watson, for settling your cases out there. Yeah, by the way, I don't think he's it's kind of hard to say somebody's a criminal when you couldn't even get a grand jury to indict the guy. But, dude, you were super sketchy. Like, super sketchy. I don't think because somebody's sketchy, they shouldn't get to play in the NFL, but damn in hell, man, that's a pretty big PR hit. So, the biggest thing I can see, and I've seen this happen right now with the quarterback today, is with Jalen Hurts, my beloved Eagles. Everybody loves Jalen Hurts. He's a good dude. He's a great leader. He's exactly the reason why you don't take a quarterback in the second round, because he's just going to be good enough for everybody to really like him. You're going to like him. It's going to be really hard to move off of him. Last year, he was 21st in passing yards in the NFL. 21st. There's only 32 teams. He was 21st. He had 16 touchdowns and 9 picks. That's just above Tua and Jameis Winston. That's not great company. He had 61% completion percentage. That's just above Carson Wentz. We'll see how well that does. I really like him. I really like Jalen Hurts, and I want him to work out. I just don't think he will. And that's the kind of discernment that I need for front office people to have, is to go, what's the best case scenario if we draft this guy in the second round? He turns into, I guess the best case scenario is that he becomes Russell Wilson. How many Russell Wilsons are there? Okay, well, that's not very good odds. Then go ahead and take the guard. Take the linebacker, whatever. And then just wait. Either wait till the fourth round on to take a shot at somebody, and maybe he works out, maybe he doesn't. It's easy to get away from. Or wait until next year. Trade out of the second round if you want to. Pick up a couple more picks for the next year so that you can make a move in the first round to get a guy the second year. But, it's just not worth it. It's too big of an investment emotionally. You draft the guy in the second round. You got to play him. You got to give him a shot. You lose games, and then you're right back where you started in the first place. Be sure or don't draft a quarterback at all. That's my time. Deuces.